computer. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay, recording. All right. Okay, text 111. Vrindavan forest, Govardhan Hill, and the whole area of Raj are free from violence and theft. So one need not bother to watch one's cows. The cows simply go out into the forest in the morning with the other domestic animals like the buffaloes, eat grass and drink water as they like, and then in the evening come home. Commentary.
So who is speaking now? Who's speaking this? We can, if you read the text or we hear the text, it's said in a certain mood, so it might remind you of who's speaking. She has a clue. She's saying, why does Krishna need to go with the cows?
Rohini?
Because
no.
Sorry?
It was Rohini, between Rohini and
Kansa's mother.
Mother.
Yeah, Kamsa's mother. So this is Kamsa's mother speaking. And her name is?
Padmavati.
Padmavati, yes.
Padmavati, yes. So this, I think this is Padmavati speaking, because in a sense she's saying, why do you need Krishna to herd the cows? There isn't any danger in Vrindavan. So, I might be wrong, but let's, you can read the commentary, Mother.
Commenting, tending cows is difficult work, even in pleasant surroundings, but in which the labor of herding turns into play. Krishna and his friends effortlessly cared for many cows and also other domestic animals, including buffaloes and goats. While the cowherd boys were completely absorbed in playing, the cows wandered far away. The cows hungered for more grass, and with no one to watch them, they entered the dense forest. The goats, cows, and buffaloes passed from one part of the forest to another. Bhagavatam 10:19, 1-2. Because all the sacred sports of Raj are under the special protection of demigods and other servants of Shishi Radha Krishna, evil influences can never prevail. For example, the village of Nand Maharaj is protected by Lord Shiva in the form of Nandeshwar. Lord Shiva begged for this service of guarding Krishna's home and showed his gratitude for the appointment by giving the blessings that Nandeshwar Hill and Nandgram on its peak would never be attacked by Rakshasas. Many followers of Kamsa were able to harass the cowherds of Raj and try in various ways to kill Krishna and Balaram. But that happened only by the arrangement of Krishna's Yogamaya to enhance the pleasure of Krishna and his pastimes with his devotees. None of these would be violators of the peace of Raj, could cause any real harm other than their own death. In modern times, criminals and various materialistic influences seems to have infiltrated Shivrajdam, but this is only a superficial appearance to our unpurified eyes. Yogamaya still protects the dam from invasion by Krishna's enemies. Materialistic persons may briefly come and go on the thin surface by which Maya covers the dam from unworthy eyes. They may even construct permanent commercial buildings and roads, but the actual eternal abode remains untouched by their transient interference. To the pure devotee who come to reside in Vrindavan, the same Yoga Maya grants the vision by which they can see the divine truth.
Okay, so this was written a few years ago, so things have become more, could you say, externally distracting in Vrindavan. it's like there's hotels and I'm sure those who've been to Vrindavan or go regularly know what it is like. But still, Gopi Purandana is reminding us that that's just a superficial appearance, but often it can be a challenge for some. That's why it's generally considered that until one's faith is quite strong, one best not visit Vrindavan. But after one's been established in Krishna consciousness for some time, and they've got some faith, at least some devotees speak like that. I know my Guru Maharaj often mentions that then they should go to Vrindavan, because otherwise they might get bewildered. Yeah, because they hear these beautiful descriptions in Krishna book, etc. And other places. Then they go to Vrindavan, and some people even get robbed, as we know, get robbed in Vrindavan, etc. As it's modern, it says here, in modern times, criminals and various materialistic influences seem to have infiltrated New Vraj, but still, it's got this wonderful spiritual dimension to it, which I'm sure we can all experience to one degree or another when we go to Vrindavan. Still the peacocks are there. You can hear the peacocks and the parrots, and there is some nice pastoral aspects of Vrindavan which are still there, but it is becoming quite commercial at the same time. But still there is aspects of it which is very beautiful. Any comments on that? Anyone like to share their experiences?
Yeah, I was thinking
Perhaps.
like, because now lots of people from outside come to earn money in Vrindavan, like rickshaws and things like that. So, that mood of the Rajvasis, and we should be really careful how we treat them, and that is quite difficult. Though you do maintain it, but when they're cheating you or something like that,
Yeah.
it's so difficult because you don't know who is from here and who is just come for Kartik or whatever, from outside.
So we have to be a little bit careful. We have to be quite careful.
Careful,
With two things, we have to be quite careful how we deal with people who seem to be cheating us, because they are in Vrindavan. So we just have to be careful, and we have to be very tolerant as well. And at the same time remain respectful. All right.
Okay.
Is that someone ring? Okay. And anyone else has any comments on this? Otherwise, you can continue reading. Perhaps you can read one more. And here, Padmavati, she's being mentioned as the speaker now.
Yeah. Elderly Padmavati said, you child, you are too free with your words. If what you say is true, then why do we hear that the cows and other animals in Raj are now in danger of dying because no one is taking care of them? Commentary.
Okay, so it seems like it wasn't Padmavati speaking in the last verse. So perhaps we can conclude. Let's just go back. Sorry. So going right back, trying to find a virtuous lady.
Conversation between Rohini and...
This is, you're right. Sri Rohini said. So she's speaking these verses. And now Mother Padmavati's chiming in. Let's see what she says. Okay, you can continue.
From it, actually, the cows, bulls, and calves of Raj needed no caretaker. Rather, they needed Krishna. They suffered not from material neglect, but from the ecstasy of separation, vipralamba bhav. They appeared in danger of dying, but even that appearance was false, because vipralamba bhav is a cause not of death, but of the highest perfection of life, achieved only by the most intelligent and competent of those who practice spiritual disciplines. The cows of Raj were in fact not the dumb, helpless creatures that seemed. Padmavati, however, is as usual following her strange style of logic to prove her own understanding of Krishna.
All right. Any comments? So we can perhaps have ask Mother Kunamai to read. Ripalambabhav, we know that's a big subject, and it's in of itself. We mentioned that quite a few times. Ripalambabhav, I'm sure we all know that it's mentioned here. It means the feelings of separation, which is quite an amazing aspect of spiritual life. And that's the underlying mood that we need to develop in our practice. We mentioned it as a bhava seva, the underlying mood of our chanting. We mentioned that quite a few times, I think. Feeling separation from Krishna. So, okay. So, Mother Kunamai, you'd like to read from 113?
Okay, thank you. Sri Parikshit said, having heard all this, the blessed Lord Gopala felt overwrought with worry for his devotees. Scorching anxiety dried up his lotus face. He was filled with dread. Text 114. He glanced at the face of Baldev, who knew all the tidings of Raj, both past and present, and saw that it was covered with tears. Commentary. Baldev, Krishna's older brother, was a constant witness to Krishna's pastimes, first in Vrindavan and then in Mathura and Dwarka. Krishna trusted Baldev to be a sober judge of facts. So when Krishna saw the face of Baldev, his own anxiety only increased. Text 115. Baldev, the son of Rohini, was unable to keep his composure. Remembering Raj and understanding his brother's mood, he began crying without control. But then he managed to speak distinctly. Text 116. Sri Baldev said, why speak only about the cows, dear Krishna? All the animals in Vraj are your beloved friends, and so also are the birds and the trees, like the bandira and the kadamba. Text 117. The grass, the creepers, the lush bushes have all dedicated their lives to you. Now they are all wasting away. So too are the rivers and mountains. Commentary. In the agony of Vipralamba above, the forest deer and other wild animals in Vraj had become all emancipated. And so had the birds like peacocks, and even the inanimate rivers like Yamuna, and the mountains like Govardhan. If these residents of Raj were on the verge of death, then what to speak of the cows, bulls, cows Lord Krishna used to herd? Text 118. Some of the people, dear brother, live only on the hope that your promises are true. Better you not ask to hear more news than this. Commentary. This statement was a sober implication that many residents of Raj, no longer able to tolerate separation from Krishna, had already left their bodies. In their own sarupas, they had gone to join Krishna in his pastimes in Dwarka or elsewhere. Others kept themselves alive in Braj, sustaining themselves by remembering Krishna and transcendentally perceiving his internal unmanifest pastimes. More than once, Krishna had promised the Vrajvasis he would return to them soon. Therefore, some of them continued to expect him, even after others had lost all hope. Lord Balaram asked Krishna not to inquire further into the news of Raj. It would be too painful for the devotees present to hear. Text 119, I can only tell you that if you don't slow your kindness to them, I can only tell you that if you don't show your kindness to them soon, Yamraj will soon show them his. Text 120, that you rid Kalia's lake of its poison has only greatened their misery. And please hear of still other reasons for their sorrow. Commentary. The Vrajvasis would consider quick death a merciful relief from their distress. Because of Krishna, committing suicide merely by entering Kaliya's poisonous lake was no longer possible. And this made them feel all the more frustrated. Other means of escape from their misery were now also gone, as the next verses relates. Text 1-1. In Vraj, the river Yamuna has turned so dry, she has hardly any water, and Govardhan, who when you held him up, touched heaven, has now become short. Commentary. Sri Yamuna, the site of many Krishna's pastimes, was once a great broad river with mighty waves and swift, deepening flowing currents. Now in pain over Krishna's absence, she had become just a trickle, diminished to almost nothing. To drown oneself now in the meager water of Yamuna would no longer be feasible, nor could one still commit suicide by jumping from the top of Govardhan, not only before Govardhan's height had been formidable, as testified in Sri Hari Vamsa 1833-37. When Krishna lifted Govardhan, its peaks waved back and forth, the trees upon it trembled, and its inaccessibly high peaks reached outer space. Vidyaharas, Ugras, Gandharvas, and Apsaras complained on all sides that this hill was bumping into their wings. But when Krishna left for Mathura, Govardhan began sinking into the earth out of disappointment, and hunks of its peaks fell off and tumbled down its sides. Text 1-2. The devotees who relish.
Just pause there for a minute. This is the first time I've heard this that actually mentioned in the verse back here is that some of the Vrajvasis actually left their bodies or implicated. It seemed to indicate that here. This statement has a sober implication. Now, I always thought that never actually happened because it would cast inauspiciousness upon Vraj or the pastimes, at least definitely in Krishna's presence, but okay, Krishna's absent. So here, no longer able to tolerate separation, had already left their bodies. You know, first time I've heard that, so this is interesting. If anyone knows anything more on this, they can speak up. But here it is, mentioned that. Definitely none of the gopis did, I'm quite sure. Radharani didn't, and nor did Nanda Maharaj, because we know in Madhya Soda, because there's descriptions of when Krishna comes back to Vraj. And I think, I read this book many years ago. I can't remember how it's going to unfold, but I think this pastime unfolds in Krishna's going back to Vraj. It very much seems that way. So, I have questions about that statement, exactly what Gopi Purandana is saying here. It's an implication, so it's not explicitly stated, but Gopi Purandana seems to bring that out. Some have already left their bodies due to separation. So let's accept it on face value for now, but I thought it is interesting. And also Govardhan Hill, I understood that it was shrinking 1 mustard seed a day, is it? Anyone know the detail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was only listening yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And soon we have Govardhan Puja coming. Come out, so we'll hear more about Govardhan Hill. But quite interestingly put, that they're trying to find some ways to end their pain of separation. So they're contemplating suicide. Yeah. There's also, Radharani is very much in that mood. She plans different ways to commit suicide, but she never actually does it. She never actually does it. In one book, my Guru Maharaj writes that she does plunge herself into the Jamuna to commit suicide, and then Krishna the hero comes back and he saves her. You know, that's a beautiful, really nice description. So that is there. But
Can I just
go down
ask
here.
you, Murli?
Yeah, please.
I
Please,
thought, yeah, what you said about it, Guru Maharaj, yeah, but there's another, I read someone else, because somewhere else as well, it says because she promised that he said that he'll come back, so that's why she never did any, that's what I've heard as well, so I don't know.
Yeah, because she didn't want to cause Krishna any misery.
Any
She
pain,
knew that if she left in pain. So I think it is poetically described that was the bolt which kept the life airs within her body. One was a promise that Krishna would actually come back. You know? And Krishna was returning, and that's described as well. Krishna was returning each evening to actually be with the gopis, but they thought in their madness of emotion, of separation, they was thinking it's just a dream. It wasn't actually real. So it's quite a deep subject.
Yeah, isn't it explained that Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna never left?
Leaves, never left, that's what I remember, it's always
It's
saying
just
that.
that separation they felt, you know, that he isn't.
And that's how he manifests. He manifests in kind of a bar form within their meditation, and and that's what it's meant as far as I understand.
Yeah, and as well, Murli Prabhu, that what Chandravali said that Krishna never left. But then when you do listen to all this, all the details about how Radharani felt at the Gopi, and I think like sometimes you wonder that, well, he never left, then there was nothing that they had that sort of, pain for them, really, for Krishna as well, you think like that as well, but when you do listen, you do feel sort of compassionate about that,
Yeah, I mean, that's the mystery of that statement, because, okay, Krishna never left Vrindavan, but you could also say he definitely left Vrindavan. There's a whole pastime where he's leaving Vrindavan. Kura comes and takes him away. I mean, it's documented. So that's meant so then we have to understand, okay, in what form and in what way is Krishna still present? So he's present within the bhav, within the mind and heart of the Rajrasis. And sometimes he even appears, but they see it to be a dream. So I think we can understand in that sense, Krishna is always in Vrindavan, just that he may be unmanifest. Yeah, please.
Sorry, we just, I think we all listened to the lecture because it was shared in our group by Bhakti Charaswami, where he said that Krishna actually, by the edge of Vrindavan, he multiplied himself into Vishnu, and then Vishnu left and Krishna came back to Vrindavan. Like he was taken away, something like this.
Okay, so that's, thank you for bringing it out. It's actually, that's another good, nice detail to bring out, that actually it was, Krishna did stay in Vrindavan, but he left, but in his Vishnu form went to kill the demons.
Yeah,
it's kind of mystical, but still we know that here we hear descriptions of, for instance, Nanda Maharaj being really distraught because he didn't bring Krishna back from Mathura. And then we hear they're making garlands waiting for Krishna to return. And then there's pastimes of Krishna actually returning in his actual form. So it's quite mysterious how it all fits together. Okay, so Krishna, his expansion as Vishnu form goes, as Bhakti Swami Maharaj mentions, and we know that it's the Vishnu who actually kills the demons. But still, there is a pastime where we're reading it now, and what we're reading now is what we're reading now. I think Krishna here is in Dwarka, isn't he? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we're reading right now in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Krishna's absence. At the same time, we do know that that's why that verse is always, it's always a wonderful thing to bring out, that Krishna never leaves. So we have to understand in what way, and another guy just brought up that point as well, that actually Vishnu aspect of Krishna leaves, but Krishna stays. But in what form he stays in Braj is not the same as we're actually reading it now. Radharani can't, they're not having their, then she's not meeting with Krishna. Anyway, we're trying to understand something very deep, which I don't have the qualification to really understand or enter into.
I
So let's
wanted
just
to
take
add
it.
something as well. You know, here it's saying that some of Rajbasis left. But I know Krishna
Left their body, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Krishna stays useful. Does the other Brajbasis get older?
No,
They don't?
they don't. No, it's described that they are invigorated and sustained by Krishna's Hladini Shakti, or by the internal potency. So they, like Krishna, do not age. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's no pictures of Radharani. Obviously,
No,
it's an old
no,
lady.
not Radharani. I was listening to Romapad Swami. He's doing
Okay.
parikram. He's
Okay.
different places and the pictures of different deities and places. So then he showed this picture of Mukhara, who is Radharani's grandmother. Mukhara.
Yeah. But she's aged anyway.
Yeah, but she's old.
Oh, I understand where you're coming from there. Okay. Yeah. So for the pastimes to unfold in its natural way, they're in a village and they're in a cultural setting, and they're in a family, and in a real sense of the term, a family or village has different members at different ages. So therefore you got Mukara, I think she's half blind, isn't it? Or is it the other one? I'm getting mixed up. Jatila. Huh?
Yeah, no, Mukara is
Mukara.
grandmother. She's
Yeah,
not
so then so she's not blind, but she's old. So then that mixes in the pastimes very nice, because I think there's quite some comical descriptions of her that's given. I think I want.
Yeah, Maharaj was joking and just showing pictures.
Yeah. They're laughing. So
yeah.
So that you can understand that they eternally play that role, that kind of pastime of being elders or grandmothers, and there's also young children as well. There's young babies, and so, but it's an interesting point you bring up, because everyone there is eternal, but it looks like some of them are eternally grandmothers and like that. So
it's the way Maharaj said he arranged the wedding of Radharani to Abhimanyu, and then he shows a picture of Mukhara, and it was like, this is what she looks like,
like it's described.
Old, old and wrinkled.
I think described she's like a belly like a drum.
That's Jyotila or Kotila, whichever.
Oh, Jyotila. Okay. And anyway, so like that, that's interesting you bring that out. Yeah. Okay, Krishna's never Yovanam, but Mukura is never Oldanam. Older. She's eternally grandmother. Yeah. Okay, anything else? And this is good. You're reading, you're hearing different, so you can help in those who are hearing different Leelas and Krishna's pastimes. You can always help us to understand, what we're reading by sharing what you've heard.
Romapad Swami, if anybody wants to listen on YouTube, he's going to different places, Yavat, Raval, all that places. He's not going personally, but he's talking about these places. But then he's showing the pictures of the deities and pastimes there.
Okay.
So it's
A
good
bit
to
like Bhakti Chaitanya Swami does the same thing.
yeah, just a mindset of
Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Kartik.
There
Actually,
are videos.
fantastic.
sorry, someone else was saying.
Yeah, there are videos of Bhakti Chaitanya Swami.
Yeah, Bhakti
Um,
Chaitanya Swami
Yes,
videos there.
videos on YouTube. Quite nice.
Yeah.
Going to different places, villages of the the primary gopis, Ashtasakis. Yeah.
And he's been telling that for quite a few years now, about 4 or 5 years he's been
Yes.
doing that.
Yes. Long.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just thinking about one point. We haven't
Yeah,
heard
please.
about the Brajavasis dying or leaving their bodies in separation from Krishna, but we have heard that gopis who could not enter rasa dance because they were locked away by their family members, they left their bodies.
Yeah, now that's the actual pastime which I was referring to, because Shiva Ramswamy gives a commentary on that from the Acharyas, and it's not the physical body they actually leave.
Right.
It's what remains of, because the reason they can't go to Krishna, because there's still some trace of material contamination there. So they're stopped and they can't actually go to be with Krishna.
Yeah.
But that gets burnt up. That gets in their feelings of separation. They actually embrace Krishna within their heart. And that
Yes.
finally burns up the last remnants of their material contamination. Kanmaj, he kind of highlights that they don't actually die, and there's not like a funeral, nothing like that, because that will bring inauspiciousness into Raj,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
pass on. So that's why I was interested in what Gopi Pranadam has said, which we read, that he seems this implies that some residents of Vrindavan left their bodies. Because I was thinking of that exact commentary on that part, on the Ras Leela, where Maharaj mentions they don't actually leave their bodies. So we have a transcendental contradiction.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't actually. So it's something. Perhaps I will revisit that again, and I'll read that part in Shivaram Swami's book, and then I can try and clarify what he explains. I think it's in Na Parayaham. I can look that up. Or it's maybe in Krishna Sangati. So we'll have to do some investigation further. All right. Anything else from anyone else who'd like to share before we continue reading? Yeah. Okay, let's, I think, who would like to read? Any hands there? Otherwise, I can jump in for a couple of verses. If you do like to read, can please raise your hand. We are on text 100 and...
I can read something.
Yeah, go. That novel of Wanda's voice, I heard, I think.
Yeah.
You're breaking up a bit.
Starting, sorry, I joined late. I don't know where we are.
Well, text 122. 122. It's up on the screen here if you have your computer.
120. Yeah, I'm going to read from the screen.
Yeah, your voice is breaking
Can you hear
up
me?
a bit, but try. Yeah, we can hear you. So try your best. Let's see. I hope it comes through clear.
Oh, really? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, text 122. The devotees who relish the nectar of your names cannot die of starvation. Instead, their end will come in fire in a great dry forest. Commentary. Balaram is conjecturing how the Vrajvasis are likely to leave their bodies because of Vipralamba above. The great forests of Raj, like Bandiravan, have become parched. So at any time, a forest fire is likely, in which the Vrajvasis will take the opportunity for suicide. Okay. Next.
You can continue. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Oh, is this text 1,
Yeah.
2, 3?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Text 123?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sri Parikshit said, having heard this, Krishna, who is gentle by nature and tormented by the suffering of others, grasped Balaram by the neck and shed a flood of tears, like a person whose life is in ruin. As he cried with loud sobs in his beautiful voice, the tears washed away the cosmetics from his body. Commentary. Krishna is so kind-hearted that he is sorry even when his
Labanga, you're breaking up.
enemies are in pain.
Yeah,
His emotions were not a false show, but a true indication of his concern for his... Oh, sorry.
yeah, I think you're breaking up a bit, Mother. Perhaps we...
Yeah, okay, I'll stop reading.
No problem. You can, yeah, that bit we heard.
Those who don't have the book, it's difficult to hear.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I shall read this one. 124. Dear mother, he and Balaram then rolled on the ground and for a moment lost consciousness. Seeing the two lords crying in this unprecedented, lamentable state, all the residents of the inner palace lost control of themselves. Rohini, Uddhava, Devaki, Rukmini, Satyabhama, and all the rest. They all lost control and stopped again and again. All right, so everyone's crying now. What is it? Whole emotional outpouring. When the Yadus heard the sound of distress crying coming from in a palace, a sound never heard there before, they quickly came running, headed by Vasudeva and Ugrasena. The Brahmanas arrived, led by Khaga, along with all the other people of the city. And when they saw their beloved master in this extraordinary state, as they never had before, they too began to cry. So the whole city's crying now, thousands and thousands of people crying. In the palace, now they're all crying. Commentary. We shouldn't laugh, actually, that they're crying in great separation, but quite a scene. Commentary. Many of the Yadus ran into the palace to find out what was wrong, Vasudeva leading them because among them he was the most intimate with Krishna and most competent to give Krishna support in a moment of need. Khaga, Vasudeva's family priest, was the first of the Brahmanas to respond to the cries, and Sandipani Muni and others were close behind. These Brahmana sages were expert in consoling the distressed persons with teachings from the Vedas. The general populace of Dwarka also quickly converged on that palace because such happiness in Krishna's palace was unheard of. Yes, so this is Vaikuntha. Well, it's not Vaikuntha, it is in the Vaikunthas, Dwarka, so there is no anxiety there, so no one cries. But here, they're all crying. Yeah, so it kind of highlights the superlative position of Vrindavan compared to Dwarka or compared to Vaikuntha. Right? So anyway, thus ends the 6th chapter of part 1 of Sri Sanatana Goswami's Brihat Bhagavatamrita, entitled Priya Attama, the most beloved. Okay, so where are we going to go here? If anyone can hazard a guess to what the next chapter is going to be about. This is quite dramatic. Where is it? Let me flick. What's the complete perfection?
No cheating, no cheating.
No cheating. So here is the complete perfection. So, all right, good. We've got 15 minutes left. Let's see where we're going to go now, where Sanatana Goswami is going to take us, how this all is going to unfold. So I'll read a couple more verses, and then if anyone else like to read, you're welcome. So text 1 of chapter 7. Sri Parikshit said, Dear mother, as the sound of Krishna's lamenting with his family members filled the universe, a series of terrible omens quickly ensued. Commentary. Okay, we're going to be told now what's happening in this chapter. In this 7th chapter, Brahma relieves Sri Krishna of his bewilderment, and Krishna delights Narada by describing the supreme position of the gopis. As the Yadus were running towards Krishna's palace, bad omens appeared in the sky, such as meteors and lightning without rain. Text 2. Because four-headed Brahma could find no one else to explain the cause of these omens, he came to see for himself, accompanied by the Vedas, the Puranas, his personal attendants, and various demigods. So that would be the personification of the Vedas. Vedas personified. Okay, it's not books all following him. It's personified Vedas and the Puranas. Commentary. Brahma is indeed a learned person. In fact, his chosen advisors are the Vedas and the Puranas, who stay in his court, always ready to offer their counsel. Brahma found his own father and spiritual master, the original Narayan, in an unprecedented state, distressed by love for his beloved devotees. Seeing the Lord thus boldly revealing his true greatness, normally hidden, Brahma was astonished. For a moment, he too lost his gravity and began to cry. He's crying with 8 eyes, tears coming from 8 eyes. He has 4 heads. Brahma is not just the main engineer of universal creation, but also an intimate loving servant of the Supreme Lord. And that Supreme Lord himself is not just the ultimate origin of creation, but also the greatest loving servant of his devotees. Krishna's highest glories are not to be found in his pastimes of creating the material world, so that rebellious souls may indulge their perverted intentions. Earlier in Krishna's pastimes, Brahma had visited Rajbhumi and discovered Krishna's true glories in the ecstatic relationship between Krishna and his pure devotees. Now in Dwarka, Brahma is being granted further realization. He is learning that Krishna's most wonderful qualities are his concern for his devotees and his submission to their control. Realizing this, Brahma can now more fully understand Krishna's identity as the original Supreme Lord, Narayan. Brahma was not ignorant of these matters before, but seeing in such a helpless state his own progenitor, who had taught him the Vedas, shocked Brahma into a deeper realization. When Brahma saw Krishna in distress, he himself could not help but to cry. All right. I read more. If anyone wants to read, they can put their hand up. Otherwise, I should be greedy and continue reading.
Just greedy and continue reading.
Okay. With difficulty, Brahma brought himself under control and started thinking how to restore his Lord to a normal. Such an idea came to heart. So I was thinking he would go back to Raj. I mean, that seems the idea. They should plan for him to go back to Vrindavan. But it seems not. It seems, well, let's read on. Crying at the Lord's side was Garuda, the son of Vinata. Garuda's attention was hard to get, but after calling to him loudly for some time, Brahma succeeded. Brahma then spoke. Brahma said, there is another Sri Vrindavan here between Raivata Hill and the sea. Ananda, Yasoda, and others are present within it in replica images. This is New Vrindavan, isn't it? You know, it's called New Vrindavan. With similar herds of cows. That Vrindavan, constructed by Vishwakarma, appears just like Vrindavan of Mathura. Come here to Dwarka. So carefully take Krishna and his brother in their present state and gently carry them there. But only Rohini should go with them, no one else. Commentary. Brahma wants Garuda to carry Krishna and Balaram carefully to Nava Vrindavan. The two brothers should not find out that they are still in Dwarkadam, and their devotees should not be allowed to spoil the illusion by following them. Rohini came along because she knows how to conduct herself intelligently, and especially she used to live in Rajbhumi and will therefore seem in place. The replica of Vrindavan was constructed by Vishwakarma, the architect of the demigods, but to duplicate the Vrajvasis was beyond his skill. He couldn't make copies of unique devotees like Nanda, Yasoda, and the other senior cowherd people, Sri Radhika and the other gopis, or Sridham and Krishna's other gopa friends. But he was able to fashion static images of the Vrajvasis lifelike enough to fool even Krishna. In the overall impression created, Nava Vrindavan was practically indistinguishable from the original, down to the small details of plant and animal life. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, Navachandra, you like to read again?
I can read. But I
Go
will be
ahead,
reading
Navachandra.
from the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to just attend to something for a minute. So carry on, Mother. Carry on.
Okay. Sri Parikshit said, thus Brahma with some effort brought Garuda back to his senses, and that most expert servant Garuda very slowly placed the two lords on his back. Commentary. Garuda was dexterous enough to move Krishna and Balaram without waking them, and clever enough to understand that this scheme would break the trance of Krishna's bewilderment. Advised
You
by
can continue,
Brahma.
Mother. Yeah, carry on.
Advised by Brahma, everyone else went back home. Meanwhile, as Krishna and Balaram were being carried by Garuda, Balaram more or less regained consciousness. Upon arriving at Nav Vrindavan, Garuda and Balaram gently placed Krishna on a bed. The Gopas and Gopis of Nav Vrindavan stood around him, as if they were Krishna's real cowherd men and women. Next page. Uddhava came there with Devaki, who dearly loved her son, and also with Rukmini, Satyabhama, other queens, and Padmavati. They simply couldn't leave Krishna in such a state. So at Brahma's request, they hid themselves and took up positions some distance away from where they could still see Krishna. Commentary. Some of the devotees hid themselves within the trees, and others resorted to various other kinds of camouflage.
So they're all kind of waiting to see, I don't know if fun's the right word, because Krishna's gone into this ecstatic state, feeling separation from Vrindavan. Yeah. So he's got into like an internal state where he's not fully aware of the external surroundings. So that's why they managed to put him on the back of Garuda. But now Garuda's taken him here to Nava Vrindavan. So now let's see Krishna's reaction when he actually wakes up and he's in what he thinks is Vrindavan. So they want to see this. So you can read on, Mother.
Narada, however, thinking he had committed an offense, did not accompany the demigods and the Yadavas. Instead, with great curiosity, he hid himself in the midst of the sky, fixing himself in a yoga sitting posture to absorb the sweetness of the Lord's eggs. Commentary. It was Narad who had made Krishna so unsettled by mentioning the present state of the Vrajavasis. Narada therefore thought himself an offender. In fact, however, he had not acted offensively, as Parikshit Maharaj here indicates with the words iva, as if. Later in this chapter, we shall hear Krishna explain why Narad should not blame himself. Garuda positioned himself even higher in the sky, invisibly following his master to provide shade with his wings. After a few minutes, Krishna's brother came back almost to normal consciousness, Balaram. That best of discerning thinkers understood the entire situation. Commentary. Until Krishna recovered from his confusion, Balaram could not feel completely normal. This is expressed here by the word Eva, but as if, but still he recognized Brahma's plan and acted accordingly. Balaram quickly cleared his own lotus face and that of his younger brother. Then he gently placed a flute in the waist of Krishna's dhoti, a buffalo horn and stick in Krishna's hands, a garland of kadamba flowers around his neck, a peacock feather ornament on his head, and newly fashioned rings of gunja berries on his ears. Oh my God, oh, beautiful scene. Thus having arranged a forest outfit for Krishna with items made by Vishwakarma, Balaram with some effort lifted Krishna and then spoke to him loudly. Commentary. While dressing Krishna for the forest, Balaram also dressed himself. The special items required were native to Braj and unavailable in Dwarka. But Vishwakarma, who had at his disposal all the creative skills of the demigods, had made convincing substitutes for real kadamba flowers, gunja berries, and so on.
Yeah, I just make a comment here. If you remember back how this story unfolds, it began with Narada, who was seeing, what was the first person he saw? The Brahmana, wasn't it? Do you remember the whole sequence of different devotees that he wants to see who is the most advanced?
Prayag Brahmana, wasn't it?
Prayag Brahmana. Then it was the southern king, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Southern king. Then we go to
Indra.
the heavenly realms. We go to Indra. Then we went to Brahma, isn't it? That's easy on Brahma, and then Lord Shiva. And from Lord Shiva, we went to...
Didn't we talk about Prahlad there? We were talking about
Prahlad, or is it Hanuman?
I think Hanuman
No,
came.
it's Prahlad. It's Prahlad, because then Prahlad glorifies Hanuman for actually doing more practical service rather than just meditating. And then from Hanuman, we go to...
did we go Pandava?
Now. The Pandavas, yeah. Then for Pandavas, then focuses on Yudhisthira. And then the Yadavas, then Krishna's personal family. And that's so. And do you remember when we were speaking about when the verses are glorifying? Did we go to Vaikuntha?
No. I think they talked about it in the book, but didn't really go there.
Yeah, that's it. But remember the question you was so beautifully described about Vaikuntha that I remember Mother Chandravali asked the question, well, it seems so attractive. The whole residence was so... I remember I said, well, you just wait. So now what's happened? Now it's just completely, you can see what's happened now. Now Sanatana Goswami is completely opened up completely about the glories of Vrindavan. You know, and now eventually, this whole pastime is eventually going to come, I'm sure, to the gopis and then to Radharani. So I just thought, just remind us of the storyline and where it's gone. And now we're swimming around in Vrindavan, so to speak. So this is, yeah. All right. Let's perhaps pause there then for today, this week, and hopefully we should get together next Thursday. Well, let's see where next Thursday.
No, Monday. Where are you on Monday, though?
I'll be in New Mayapur. I'll be in France then, so I'll be in touch, and hopefully I'll be settled somewhere in New Mayapur in time. I should let you know a good time. Then next week I'll be back in London. Right, it's quick. Yeah, I'll be back in London next week. So anyway, let's hope we have the classes on Monday and Tuesday. I shall keep you informed. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Murli
thank you
Prabhu, can
everyone
I?
for joining us.
Yeah,
Yes,
Murli Prabhu,
I
can
was
you hear
listening.
me? Yeah,
Yes,
can
I
I
can.
just call you? Yeah, can I just call you after this
Yes,
meeting? Will that be
yes,
possible? Yes.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can, Mother,
Okay.
and I know what it's about.
Thank
It's
you.
no
Yes.
problem.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you. Hare
so
Krishna.
thank you, everyone. I wish you all
Okay,
the best.
thank
Hare Krishna.
you.
Yeah.
Hare
Is
Krishna.
Soon.
Great Murli
Hare
Prabhu ki
Bol.
jai. Thank you.
Okay.
Every Vaishnavas ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.